Nikaj here with Daily Profit Cycle, coming at you with another weekly video market update. It's Wednesday, July 28th. I've been telling you for a week or two now that a new profit cycle is coming. That's the name of this website, right? Profit cycles. And there are big moves in the market that we try to harness. And that's where you can make the bulk of your gains by getting big moves, right? One of the big moves I've been talking about is inflation for over a year now. And another big move, of course, is the stocks continuing to record highs in the face of monthly sell-offs. Those are big moves that have allowed us to harness that inflation and put it in our account in the form of profits instead of letting it eat into our purchasing power, et cetera, as is happening to so many, becoming a victim of inflation. And then the second thing there, staying invested in the market, allowing our long-term funds, our safe money to appreciate by being fully invested in a stock market that continues to hit all-time highs. And so in the past week, a couple of things have changed. I've told premium members about that, and I mentioned it here in these videos and weekly free writings and the Bizarro World weekly podcast. And that's a softening of bond yields, which is another one of those big things. And so that's ushered in a bit of a change in the market. And I've been talking about that. It's a bit better environment to be buying defensive things like real estate, including REITs, real estate investment trusts, and utilities, and even gold. So I wanted to start by saying that here in Spokane, which is one of the 5 fastest growing housing markets in the U.S., the mayor declared a housing emergency this week because the homeless problem is frankly out of control. They're on literally every street corner in the downtown area, and increasingly having encampments on highway exits and areas adjacent to parks and things like that. So and rent is going up fast, right? Because it's fucking inflating and it's not transitory, and they printed a ton of money. And so that's why there's a housing emergency, right? And this proclamation that the mayor here in Spokane made is just lipstick on a pig. It doesn't have any teeth. Declaring a housing emergency doesn't do anything fiscally or politically. It doesn't change anything. It came with some recommendations that still have to be voted on and implemented. And of course, some of those recommendations are just going to make the rich richer, because that's how the system is designed, at least in its current capacity. So that's what you have to be aware of and fight against, and take individual responsibility for, to rise above and not get swept in this erasure of the middle class, which is happening in front of your eyes. And I'll get a bit more into that in a second. So what do they want to do here in Spokane? They want to basically incentivize developers to build more duplexes, and they're even experimenting with triplexes and quadplexes. And so as an investor, I'm thinking about, building a duplex, right? And so that's brick and mortar real estate, of course, but I've also been talking to you about buying real estate investment trusts, and I've made a recommendation, specific stock recommendation to members of Foundational Profits in that vein, right? A real estate investment trust that owns assets in the low end of the housing and real estate market. It owns things like trailer parks and marinas that have trailer parks attached to them, for example. And what I was telling my premium members is, don't kill the messenger. I'm not the one making the monetary policy that is making people poorer, and that is unfortunately exacerbating wealth inequality and increasing homelessness. Like, I'm not the one doing that, but I am going to be the one profiting from it, because I'm not going to be the one on the corner. And so when I tell you to buy things like real estate investment trusts, that's why. It's because real estate is now inflating quite fast. Year over year, home prices up something like 12%. And again, that low end of the spectrum is getting priced out, and you can own that in your account by owning assets that harness that rent price inflation or that real estate inflation. And that's another big move in the market. And so one thing I wanted to say is, you don't need to be in the market every day buying and selling and day trading these things I'm talking about. Like, I'm not day trading REITs. I'm harnessing like cycles and shifts in cycles. And so I tell people to start, rotating and taking profits in other sectors and putting money to work in the new cycles that are emerging. And I pay attention every day to see when that is going to happen. And the messaging I send out to my premium members is meant so that they don't have to, right? I take the legwork out of it because I can tell them when these big directional shifts are happening, just like I told them that oil was going to start inflating last November. And oil continues to move up here. Had a bit of a pause over the past few weeks, but now moving back towards $75 a barrel as what? As inflation continues to take hold. It's not going away anytime soon. You've got tin at record highs, record prices. You've got, nickel moving higher, now oil and natural gas moving back higher as well. And same with copper and, of course, real estate. So what's changing is, I mentioned the falling bond yields, but what's also changing is that growth is not keeping pace. So, for the past, 8 months or a year, stocks have been inflating, going up precipitously. Just think about the meme stocks like AMC and GameStop, for example. I mean, stocks have been, running really fast, and growth was going up fast as well because it was coming off such a low baseline. If you remember, the world shut down in 2020 for a pandemic, and as it reopened, those numbers, the quarter over quarter, year over year numbers, the growth was, it's the highest it had been literally ever, 12.8%. That's the chart I put up here today. 12.8% was the S&P 500 net profit margin last quarter. And so now you've got Q2 numbers starting to come in. And what I want to say is that you see those net profit margins starting to tick down a bit. Whereas last quarter was the best ever, right? Because it was coming off the worst ever from the 2020 lockdowns. The growth is starting to slow a little bit. And so while you've got inflation still ramping, while growth was ramping from the end of the world here last year, everything was hunky-dory, man. That's the Goldilocks market, right? All-time highs in stocks, Bitcoin at 60-some thousand, right? Everything's going up, but then growth starts to slow just a tiny bit while inflation is still going up. And that portends the turning of the cycle that you're seeing right now. And you've got to be rotating into that, out of the things that were inflating the fastest. I sold some small caps, for example, rotating into gold large caps, bought some utility stocks this morning, or at least have a bid into. I don't know if it was hit yet. And those are sort of the big cycles that we're trying to harness in the moves. And I'm trying to give you insight into the reasons why, right? Bond yields and like I just said, growth starting to compress while inflation is still going up. So that means things are starting to turn. If you don't understand that, continue to watch and read the things I put out. I'm trying to educate. And of course, if you want all the work done for you and you just want the stock and fund picks that are a result of this research and what I'm buying as a result of the things I talk about in these videos, then you have to become a premium member, and you should start with Foundational Profits, which is totally worth it. For $99 a year, we have an energy stock we're buying now. I'll put a link to the video about that underneath this video, and I'll be back at you next week with another weekly video market update. Nick Hodge for Daily Profit Cycle, signing off for now.